Move!
It's the people you thought you knew, like you've never seen them before. The inspiration.
I said, Mom, that's what I'm gonna do. I said, I'm gonna be a comedian so you never have to cry again.
The struggles.
Whatever job he could do to bring in some money for his family, that's what he did.
The successes.
The Bernie Mac show started when I was 5 years old. You all gotta get the fear of God!
Bernie Mac, next on Biography.
I'm telling you like I tell you. You all fine, but you're crazy.
Bernie Mac, the original king of comedy, has been so open about his life and his struggles.
Damn!
Fans can't help but wonder if it's all just an act.
Ain't nothing sacred. Cut the camera off.
But the movie and sitcom star has overcome painful and sometimes tragic obstacles that were far from funny. Bernard Jeffrey McCullough was born on the south side of Chicago on October 5th, 1957. His mother, Mary, was a smart, level-headed woman, but she had gotten pregnant after falling for the line of Bernie's father, Jeffrey Harrison, a silver-tongued charmer.
He was a smooth, articulate, real nice dresser. I could see why my mother, probably was attractive to him.
Bernie's parents never married, and his father was rarely around. But Bernie did have a loving extended family that included aunts and uncles, a brother, and several cousins.
We were like brothers and sisters. Everybody knew us as the Mac, the McCulloughs.
Bernie and his family lived in a two-bedroom apartment over a storefront church.
There was a lot of people in this house. At one point, there might have been 10 people in a two-bedroom apartment. That's a lot of people.
The McCulloughs attended services regularly at the church downstairs, where Bernie's grandfather, Thurman, often preached.
My grandfather was a deacon of the church. We was go to work, pray.
Church was very important because we wasn't living in all the best neighborhoods. A lot of things going on. So that was like foundation.
When Bernie wasn't in church, his grandmother, Lorraine, kept all the kids in line. Big Mama was a strict disciplinarian, and nothing got by her.
My grandmother, she'll let you think you're getting away with something, but you're really not. She would tell us, I'm gonna whip you, I'm gonna get you. We would go all day. And you like, oh, it's bedtime now, no whooping. Soon as you get ready to doze off, here she comes.
My grandmother was one of the strongest individuals in my life. Was not a male. She taught me respect. Respect is the most powerful thing in the world, especially when you respect yourself. Respect is bigger than dollars and cents.
Bernie grew up poor, but his mother and grandparents made sure he had a rich outlook on life.
They always taught us to believe in what we wanted to do. I mean, that sticks with you. Don't let anybody put you down. You can do anything you want to do.
In 1964, when he was 6, Bernie found his mother crying in the living room and discovered the power of comedy.
I said, Mom, don't cry. I said, Mom, don't cry. And Bill Cosby came on television and started doing his thing. And my mother broke out laughing. And I said, Mom, that's what I'm gonna do. I said, I'm gonna be a comedian so you never have to cry again.
Television became a key part of Bernie's childhood. The family sitcoms of the 1960s became a window into an idealized world where fathers and sons got along and laughter solved everything. Bernie's favorite program was The Andy Griffith Show.
I tell you why Andy Griffith is my favorite, because he was so secure. I love security.
Well, the thing to do when you're feeling sad is to shoot for the good feeling. Do you understand what I mean?
I think so.
Good.
Mikey Mouse!
Television also taught Bernie how to be funny.
They just don't make men like you anymore.
He imitated all the greats. Bill Cosby, Jackie Gleason, Moms Mabley, Flip Wilson, and the star of Sanford and Son, Red Fox. Bernie loved the character of Fred Sanford, and And one Sunday, while directing the church's children's choir, the budding comedian gave the congregation a taste of TV's favorite junkman.
He just bust into a Fred Sanford, grabbed his heart in his chest, and he was directing, going back and forth, directing the choir. And I looked over at my grandmother. Oh, if we could get a picture of her face. I mean, it was incredible. He got in trouble big time for that, doing Sanford and Son. But it was okay with him, because he's going to do something else.
He always said he was going to be an entertainer. Even when he was a kid, he's going to be an entertainer.
Bernie was just naturally funny. Just let's get that straight.
By the time he entered Chicago Vocational High School, Bernie had made up his mind that comedy would be his ticket to a better life. But his friends weren't so sure.
And at that time, you only had Richard Pryor, Red Fox. It wasn't on the level that it's on now. So it was like, what's the big thing about being a comedian? You know, going around telling jokes.
Bernie wasn't the first in his family to try show business. His brother, Darryl, had a brief brush with fame as a guitarist for the singing group The Shy Lights.
I admired his style. I admired him from the way he kept himself up, but he was just too selfish and arrogant.
Darryl ultimately left The Shy Lights, but Bernie still inspired. Though he didn't think much of Darryl's attitude, 15-year-old Bernie soon began imitating his brother's slick look.
He would make sure he combed his hair, make sure his teeth was okay. You know, just start soaking his nails and like Joy, dishwashing liquid. You know, you got a fingernail file. You know, just taking more interest in things like that.
Bernie's life was on track. Though he wasn't the best student, he had avoided all the pitfalls that claim many young black men in the inner city. But it was the 1970s, and drugs were everywhere. Bernie wasn't interested, but marijuana was a favorite with some of his peers.
He majored in machine shop, and a lot of the guys in machine shop shot dice. They got high and stuff like that, and he would play the role, but he didn't get high. And one guy set him up, and I think they put something in it, and because he really flipped out.
Bernie's first time smoking marijuana landed him in the emergency room.
I never will forget the look on my mother's face. The doctor said, "Son, you got angel dust all in your system. Your nervous system is shot." I was on medication for 2 years.
Bernie had learned the hard way. He wasn't going to let anything or anyone mess up his life again. But in 1973, as Bernie entered the 11th grade, he was hit with another crisis when cancer took the life of his mother. Bernie was heartbroken, and he faced more tragedy the following year when his brother Darryl died suddenly of a heart attack. Bernie was devastated, but he didn't let his feelings show.
I always looked at Bernie as laughing behind his tears. He was strong. He was tough. He's seen that there's life and there's death.
Bernie had taken hard knocks, but he still had his dream. The 16-year-old kept telling jokes to anyone who would listen, at school, on the street, even while riding the L.
Bernie would just stand up on the L and just crack jokes. I'm like, boy, sit down. You don't know these people. I mean, he would have an audience. He would talk about your mother. He would talk about you. And it would just keep coming and keep coming, and you just keep laughing.
By Bernie's senior year, he thought he was on his way to living his dream of becoming a comedian. Nothing was going to stop him. And then he met Rhonda Gore, an attractive girl at his school. At first, Rhonda was put off by Bernie's appearance.
He was just, I don't know, it was just that he was really skinny, and I was like, But it was when I started talking to him, and I realized, I said, oh, he's really a nice guy. His personality was really just beautiful, you know, and he was very humorous.
Rhonda and I just started hanging out, and I really started liking her. I asked her, I said, would you be my girlfriend? You know, I was cool there. I thought that was cool. I said, well, you know, I guess, you know, would you be my woman? And she said, yeah, I'll be your woman. I'll be your woman.
The relationship that started in the halls of CVS High School soon heated up. But after graduation, Bernie had to face the consequences of his teenage romance.
My mother called me. She said, Mac, I need to talk to you. I said, what's wrong? She said, Rhonda's pregnant. I said, by who? My father said, I'll blow your head off. I said, what? That's how he talked.
His family was the type, you do the right thing. You know, his grandfather, that's how he was raised. So he was like, well, we're going to get married. And next thing I know, my mother was planning a wedding. We really didn't have much to say about it.
With Rhonda pregnant, Bernie knew what he needed to do. He had to step up to support his family. Comedy would have to wait. At age 20, Bernie Mac was just a few years out of high school, but he already had a wife and a baby on the way. Bernie set aside his dream of becoming a comic. He took a job as a janitor at General Motors, and he and Rhonda moved into a rundown apartment. Mac had already seen plenty of tough times, and when his daughter, Janice, was born, he counted his blessings. Bernie believed if his family was all right, the rest would work itself out.
He wanted to be a comedian, but he really wasn't working towards it. He was just working, you know, for the families to make sure we were okay and everything.
After 5 long years at General Motors, Bernie was laid off due to company downsizing. He began working a series of odd jobs, including driving a moving truck and managing a fast food restaurant. Bernie also helped kids in the neighborhood as the athletic director of the local community center.
Coached a lot of the little boys' teams and things like that. Whatever job he could do to bring in some money for his family, that's what he did.
I didn't have steady work, you know, but I never was ashamed about taking work.
That's one thing I really looked up to him for, because a lot of men won't do it. They think things are beneath him, but he never did.
Bernie also started doing comedy again. Stand-up clubs were becoming hot date spots in the 1980s, and by 1984, Mac was ready to test his jokes at the local venues.
There was a club called Zany's, another one called The Funny Firm, Who's on First.
So are you all ready for a show?
They were predominantly white audiences, and he wasn't received as well in the early 80s because that whole improv brick wall guy with a sport coat and a tie on style was really coming into its own, and he was not that thing.
You couldn't curse, you couldn't tell ethnic jokes, you couldn't tell sex jokes.
A couple of times he couldn't even get up, you know, he didn't even get on because it was so crowded, so he would just go back the next weekend.
I wasn't bitter. I was just determined. I said, I ain't gonna let him beat me, I ain't gonna let him play me.
For the next few years, Bernie polished up his act. He learned how to tell a joke in front of a brick wall. But just as his dream was coming true, the 28-year-old was hit with more bad news. Bernie's beloved grandmother, a diabetic, was told that she would have to have part of her leg amputated.
They had to cut from like the knee below. And once that happened, he said, Rhonda, Grandma's not gonna live through that. He said, because she was too independent, you know, to have her limb taken away.
Bernie was right. Big Mama did not survive the surgery. The shock of her passing was compounded by the death of Bernie's grandfather the following year. At the funeral, Bernie stood up and did what he did best. He paid his respects by making his family and friends laugh.
Normally when you go to a funeral and you talk about somebody, it's a sad occasion. And Bernie would go and take that same element and he would give people something to laugh at.
I had so much pain and so much sorrow, and I lost so much. My mother, my brother, my grandmother, grandfather. And to be able to laugh through all of that, people used to always say, it ain't funny. Don't be laughing right now. Funerals and stuff, you know, and I would laugh.
Bernie had learned how to be a straight comic, but now at age 29, he was ready to be himself. Doing material that came from his soul was a revelation.
A lot of Bernie's comedy is cultural. It drew upon his, ethnicity and his, his past. And you don't necessarily have to be an African American to appreciate Bernie.
Like his idols, Red Fox and Richard Pryor, Bernie used the shock value of foul language and off-color stories to give his comedy an edge.
When he does it, I mean, he's awfully funny, you know, and people don't take it personally, and it's not meant to be taken personally. It's just comedy.
One of the first clubs that Bernie used to test his new act was the Cotton Club, Chicago's famed jazz venue. Monday was amateur night. It was a predominantly black crowd, and Bernie let loose.
I don't care what we do, blacks are serious. We could be playing jacks. We'd be serious in the mall. I'm on my threes, bitch!
Bernie had found his audience, and within months, people in Chicago's black community spread the word.
I started coming through the door, people started recognizing. That's him. That's the guy I was telling you about.
What's his name? What's his name? All right.
It seemed like it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. Their audience got bigger and bigger.
Bernie was on his way and nothing could stop him. In 1989, while vacationing in Las Vegas, the confident comedian convinced Red Fox to let him do a set during Fox's stage show.
He walked up there behind stage and went. That's how he got up there and started talking to Red Fox. And I was like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Because I was sitting there, I was like, you just can't walk up there. He said, watch me. And he did it.
By 1990, 32-year-old Bernie Mac had a cult following in Chicago. But at the time, he was working as a driver for the Wonder Bread Company.
He said, I can't take it no more. And I said, well, what are you going to do? He said, I really want to do my comedy.
With Rhonda's blessing, Bernie stopped working for Wonder Bread and set out to pursue stand-up full-time. That spring, he started preparing for the Miller Lite Comedy Search, hosted by Damon Wayans. It was a chance for Chicago comics to get some national exposure.
We're at the Regal, and he was one of the 10 finals. I told my daughter, I said, he's gonna win. Your daddy's gonna win.
And then when he won, we just all stood up and lost it. Lost it. It was like we could not believe it.
I won $3,000. That was the biggest payday of my life. And I put that in the fund for my daughter's college. Because that was a fear of mine, being able to support her to go to school.
After that, it seemed like things started opening up for him.
Recognition led to a string of high-profile gigs. Bernie opened for Dionne Warwick, Natalie Cole, and even his idol, Red Fox. Then in 1993, TV viewers got a taste of what clubgoers had been roaring at for years when the 35-year-old appeared on the HBO series Def Comedy Jam. Audiences on the raucous show were known for heckling comedians they didn't like, but Bernie was determined to win them over.
The audience was hostile. And I came out and I did my little walk on and everything. I cut it off. And I said, I ain't scared of you, mother.
The crowd loved Bernie's in-your-face attitude, and the improvised catchphrase quickly became part of his act.
He would use it in approaching his audience to let the audience know. No matter what you do, how you do it, you can heckle, boo, whatever you want. I ain't scared.
Hi, how you doing?
Although most of white America still had no idea who Bernie Mac was, in the African-American community, he'd become a star.
On the Chitlin Circus, as they call it, you know, where it's all black people know you. He was very well received on those circuits.
I've never seen it like this. Unbelievable.
He's one of the funniest men ever. I'm out here to laugh tonight. I know you have money.
But he was trying to get into movies too at that time, and he figured that would really bring him to mainstream.
Mac's first film was the Damon Wayans comedy Mo Money. Bernie played a doorman, and though he appeared only briefly in the movie, the role helped him land other small parts in a series of predominantly black films.
He was the cameo guy. Bernie Mac comes into a movie, he steals your movie, and then he goes back on the road.
Bernie was also ready to give his act a twist. At a time when black stand-up comedy was dominated by raunchy one-man routines, Bernie gave fans some old-school entertainment.
He used to always say, you know how Flip Wilson had those variety shows and stuff? He said, I want to do something like that.
In 1994, Bernie produced and starred in the Who You Wit Tour. The show featured the 10-piece Mac Men Band and the Macaroni Dancers.
It's an amazing thing. Bernie Mac funny is one thing.
Hell yeah!
Bernie Mac in front of a 10-piece band is a show.
Well, I gave him all this music, comedy, dancing at the same time.
Badass Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was your badass boy. I love you, man. That motherfucker break his damn ankle. Coach lay down and all, dog. That motherfucker.
And I was hitting places that didn't nobody want to go. I was hitting secondary markets. Places that I didn't even know exist.
Dothan, Alabama, Biloxi, Mississippi. We did Fairbanks, Alaska. Bernie took the show to Fairbanks. You talking about some black people happy to see a show. Thank the Lord. Bernie Mac's coming to Fairbanks.
Bernie loved performing, but he hated being on the road. He missed his wife and his daughter.
We get off, we go back to the hotel. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. What does Bernie do? Calls home. Land at the airport, get to the hotel, been there 15 minutes. Where's Bernie? He's on the phone talking to Rhonda. It's what he does.
In 1995, Bernie finally broke out of the nightclub circuit and into mainstream television when he was offered a recurring role in the UPN comedy series Moesha. The sitcom got Bernie's face in front of a bigger audience, but still, no one was offering him a show of his own. At age 38, after 14 years on stage and screen, Bernie Mac was afraid that he was destined to be America's most famous unknown comic. In 1998, Bernie Mac was back on the road. When he wasn't on stage, Mac was at home taking care of his family. His daughter, Janice, was in her teens, and Bernie wanted to make sure she was brought up the same way his mother and grandparents had raised him.
He was stern, but she wasn't a bad child anyway, so it wasn't like she needed a lot of discipline. And he always talked to her. He always gave her life stories to help her through life.
Bernie was proud of the way Janice had turned out, but not everyone in his family had the same luck. His 16-year-old niece, Toya, was in trouble.
Just one of those kids that kind of, go astray. Gotta learn things the hard way, and that's pretty much what she did. And she had a child, and that's who we brought into our home.
Bernie took Toya in, along with her 2-year-old daughter, Monique. Bernie responded to Toya's tough attitude with the strict discipline his grandmother had shown him as a boy. It was not a happy time, but Bernie did find a way to work Toya's situation into his act. Mac also drew on the similar experience of a close female friend.
I said, I got my niece and her kid, and they living with me now, man. And I'm fighting with her. She said, I got my sister kids too. I said, yeah, which one? And she told me her sister was the one on drugs.
And that's where he got the 3 kids, the sister on drugs, and he just kind of made it his own joke.
That Friday I went on the road. I put it on stage.
I got my sister cheering. 2, 4, and 6. And the 4-year-old, my sister must have really been getting high with her. She don't even talk. All she do is stare at your ass like this here.
The new material came at a perfect time in Bernie's life. He was now 40 years old, and he had the authority needed to play the part of a stern old-timer.
These kids murderers, man. You ain't gonna murder me. I'm gonna kill them. I can see y'all reading about it right now. It's a shame how Bernie shut up all those goddamn kids.
It also coincided with an invitation for Bernie to become a part of a major comedy event. The Kings of Comedy was a nationwide tour that featured the stand-up routines of Guy Torry, Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, and Bernie Mac.
Damn, man, white folks here to see me? Is that a bitch? Hey! Boy, when white folks come see you, know you successful, ain't it? I'm going to see Burn.
And it came right on time because I was getting burned out. I was doing 2 hours, 1 hour, 45 minutes a night. 43 weeks out of the year. I got to the point where I got sick of hearing myself.
Then this 2-year-old with her no sleeping ass, she'll never want to go to sleep like she'll, my sister got high with her, you know what I mean? Like she must have smoked reefer with her and did coke, because she hungry all the time and she wide alert,
Bernie was rejuvenated by the less demanding work schedule, and soon the show became bigger than anyone could imagine.
Initially, they did 30 dates, sold them all out. And then they went larger, and they went larger. At one point, the Kings of Comedy tour was the most profitable tour on the road in the United States, period.
I came in the house the other day at 1 o'clock in the morning. The 6-year-old gonna walk past me like I'm a visitor. The 2-year-old sent him downstairs to get her some milk and cookies. I said, where you going? Get some milk and cookies. I said, Pip is kind of late. Go on back in the room. He gonna go in the room, 2-year-old say, where the milk and cookies at? He gonna tell her, him downstairs. Like I ain't got no damn name.
In 2000, Spike Lee documented the phenomenon with his concert film, The Original Kings of Comedy. D.L. Hughley, who had his own sitcom, replaced Guy Torry. Bernie Mac was now suddenly in the center of the spotlight.
They'd known Steve and Cedric from Steve Harvey's show on WB. They'd known D.L. Hughley from being in variety shows, but Bernie, who's this guy? Who's this guy that's going on last and destroying the crowd? Now everybody wants to know Bernie Mac.
When the dust settled, many were asking the same question. Why doesn't Bernie Mac have his own TV show?
They didn't know what to do with Bernie Mac before. They didn't know how they could put him on TV. They didn't know how he could be funny.
I don't think it bothered him that much because he always said he really didn't want to do TV because TV handcuffs you. It stops him from being who he is. But he said if the right show came along, then he would consider it.
One man who thought he knew how to bring Bernie to television was producer Larry Wilmore, a veteran of the hit Fox TV series In Living Color. Wilmore's idea was to take Bernie's outspoken attitudes about child rearing and pit them against a politically correct world that favored timeouts over corporal punishment. The show would be based on Bernie's stand-up routine about raising his sister's kids.
My sister do drugs. The state was gonna take the kids away, But my black ass had to volunteer and accept these sons of bitches.
Most networks were concerned that Mac's Take No Prisoners brand of comedy would never fly on television. But in 1999, Fox TV decided to take the risk.
To see Bernie Mac on stage is a much more raw experience than watching him on TV, but TV can find a way to turn harsh comics into something a bit more palatable for a mainstream audience.
Bernie Mac put his heart and soul into the new series, juggling humor, drama, and an emotional resonance not usually found in half-hour sitcoms.
I'm gonna kill one of them kids.
Whatever.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I love them. They my blood. I give them the shirt off my back. You ever see a chicken with his neck wrong, laying to the side all lazy and weak? That's what I'm gonna do to them kids. Talk back to me one more time. Snap! I'm gonna snap their neck off.
The Bernie Mac Show premiered on Fox Television on November 14th, 2001. Joining Bernie as his on-screen family was Kalita Smith as his wife, Wanda, and Camilla Winbush, Jeremy Suarez, and Dee Dee Davis as the three kids dropped into his lap.
I knew that it would either rise to the top or it would go underneath the radar and it would be a thing that people just didn't get because of the style. It was very innovative.
You keep on talking to me with that attitude, little girl. I may not be your daddy, but I'll whoop your ass just like your daddy.
And you'll go to jail like you was my daddy, too.
Don't come out. I'm gonna bust your head to the white meat. Come on out, Vanessa. That's right, I said I'm gonna bust her head to the white meat show. And I ain't ashamed that I said it, and ain't nobody gonna make me take it back.
From its pilot episode, audiences embraced Uncle Bernie's no-nonsense approach to fatherhood.
Yeah, I know what you're saying to Mac. I don't care what you're talking about. Bernie Mac crude, Bernie Mac beat his kids. I don't care.
And critics applauded the show's insightful mix of comedy and genuine emotion.
The show is very edgy as a family comedy goes, but yet there are life lessons learned. There is hugging that goes on in this show. It isn't without warmth, but it definitely has edge, and Bernie Mac is that edge.
When it first started, he was like, they can't water me down. If they water me down, I don't want to do it. He said, I got to be able to, say the things that I want to say and deal with situations the way I want to deal with them.
In my house is all my stuff. And you are not to touch my stuff without my permission. Let me break it down. Don't touch my TV. Don't touch my DVD. Don't touch my dual deck VCR. And most definitely don't touch the remote that works the TV, the DVD, and the dual deck VCR. Any question?
Can we touch?
No, you can't touch nothing. Matter of fact, don't even look at it. When you walk past it, close your eyes.
Bernie also brought style to his sitcom by breaking the fourth wall and speaking directly to his audience.
When I say I want to kill those kids, you know what I mean. I don't have to explain.
I think the real innovation is having him as Bernie Mac look right at us and tell us what's on his mind.
Yeah, my sister's on drugs. That's okay. Some of your family members messed up too. What am I supposed to do? Allow these 3 kids to go to the state or some foster home or some white couple? Hold on. This ain't about race. It's not about race. I just don't want to hear him talking all proper like that. You know what I'm saying?
Beneath the surface, the Bernie Mac Show was a loving tribute to Mac's own family, with its star taking on the role his mother and grandparents played in his own life.
The Bernie Mac Show started when I was 5 years old.
I see a lot from our childhood in the show, and I see a lot of things from our family.
Especially his grandmother, the way he does with the children, because I don't think she took a whole lot of stuff from them, so that's where he gets all that from, the discipline.
So you kids gotta learn. You all gotta get the fear of God in you. Honor thy mother and thy father figure. So next Sunday, we're gonna give our day to the Lord. We're going to church.
Bernie also shared another part of his childhood with America in the character of Jordan.
Jordan is Bernie Mac as a kid. Always in something. Mischievous. Not a bad kid. Just want to outsmart everybody. Want to be the center of attention.
Get some Count Chocolate or something.
I don't want to get chocolate. I want mine.
Boy, quit being so soft here. You're always crying. You gotta be a man.
I don't want to be a man. I want my cereal.
Boy, you getting ready. You ain't fixing to piss up in here. I made him something like myself when I was a little kid.
What y'all looking at? What you looking at?
Someone that got into everything. You had to watch him. He was sinister.
You waiting on yourself? Are you waiting on yourself? Come here, boy. Come here. What you wrong with me?
With the ratings success of the Bernie Mac Show, everyone in Hollywood seemed to be knocking on Bernie's door. But director Steven Soderbergh was one up on the competition. Before the sitcom even aired, he'd already signed Bernie to appear in his big-budget, star-studded remake of the heist movie Ocean's 11. The 44-year-old actor shared the screen with some of the biggest names in Hollywood. Bernie's part was small, but he managed to shine with the rest of the stars.
I think everybody was quite surprised at how much notice he got out of having a small role in that film, just because he was just so slick, so good.
That was the pinnacle for me. To be with Clooney and to be with Brad and Matt and Don Cheadle and Elliot, that was unbelievable.
For his part, Bernie learned he had fans on the set who were just as excited to work with the original King of Comedy.
I'd seen him in a few things before, and I just thought he was hilarious, and I thought it was gonna be a great experience to work with him.
With a hit TV series on the air and a movie blockbuster to his credit, Bernie was becoming one of the titans of Hollywood. He was comfortable financially, and to make sure things stayed that way, Bernie put his wife Rhonda in charge of his bank account.
I'm gonna tell you his version of why he did it. He said that if anyone is stealing from him, it wouldn't matter because he's married to me, he's getting sex, and it's still in the family. So the money's still there. But the reason I feel I'm over it is because he knows I'm gonna watch every day. He calls me a hawk. I watch everything.
Putting family first had worked for Bernie. The lessons he'd learned from his mother and grandparents were keeping him on track.
Hey, camera Mark.
By the spring of 2002, The Bernie Mac Show was a runaway hit for Fox Television, and Bernie was proud of what he'd accomplished.
Oh, yeah.
Network executives were so pleased, they gave the 44-year-old star permission to take his show on the road for a 1-hour season finale filmed in Bernie's sweet hometown, Chicago.
I wanted to tap in on Horn. I wanted to go back to the beginning. Every now and then you got to go back to where it started.
Making the trip with Bernie was his Ocean's 11 co-star, Don Cheadle.
Mama Liver, why don't you let us take care of the funeral arrangement? I mean, it'll do my heart real good, please.
Oh, no.
Oh, you're such an angel, but Dee's taking care of everything.
That's right. It's gonna be beautiful, Mama.
My character had a lot of laugh lines, and some actors wouldn't be comfortable with you coming into their world and doing that. You know, they kind of want you to be there to prop them up.
Now, I'm gonna handle everything, right? But I'm still waiting for Daddy's check from the government, man. You know how slow they can be. Well, hey, maybe you don't remember. You know, you big time and everything now, but could you float me for a minute, man?
He did not just say that. He did not just ask me for money.
Bernie was, you know, he said to me, look, man, if you jump across the floor into the splits, you know, I'll be right behind you. Like, you know, I'll be right there with you. Go ahead, do your thing.
What's wrong, D?
Come on, Bern. This looks like somebody's shop class project. Thing can't cost more than $200. Come on, man.
What do you suggest, D?
Bernie, when Biggie died, R.I.P., they put the brother in a gold coffin lined with velvet. It had his initials in diamonds on the top of it, man. Now, I know this man ain't trying to tell me that my daddy ain't as good as Biggie.
Well, we do special requests, but it can get a bit expensive.
Hey, man, hey. My father died. Now, I know we ain't up in here trying to pinch pennies. Ain't that right, Bern?
I mean, let's just hear what the man got to say, D. Let's walk around, see if we can pick out something more proper.
Bernie had always been open about his childhood, but in this episode, he shared some of his most painful memories about his estranged father with his fans.
I'll tell you something I never told nobody, ever. When I was a little boy, maybe 8 years old, I had a birthday party. And Big Mama gave me $15. And my father called. Said he was on his way.
He never showed up?
Oh yeah, he showed up. He showed up late. But I was so excited, Ness, I didn't even care. Then he started telling me about how his car broke down and he had no idea how he was gonna get the money. And he grabbed my $15. The funny thing about it was Big Mama called him down the street and she bashed his head in with a skillet. She bought my $15 back.
Mac's emotionally honest approach helped earn the Bernie Mac Show a Television Critics Award, a Teen Choice Award, a Peabody Award, and an Emmy. Bernie also won an Image Award for his work on the series, but the showbiz veteran didn't let any of the acclaim go to his head.
How does Bernie deal with awards? I think that he treats them all the same. It's an honor that people think that highly of you, but it doesn't change what you do.
By 2003, Bernie Mac was a hard man to miss. He was a talk show regular. He penned his autobiography called Maybe You Never Cry Again. And he co-starred in the hit big screen comedy Head of State with Chris Rock. Bernie Mac hadn't just crossed over. Now, Hollywood producers and directors were shaping characters to fit him.
And I brought up Bernie, and everybody just immediately went, oh, that's great, we love him.
In the summer of 2003, Bernie co-starred in Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. He was cast as the brother of the character Bill Murray played in the first Charlie's Angels film.
Bosley!
What's happening, angels?
And I sort of thought, wouldn't that be great if we treated it that, you know, the Bill Murray character was sort of adopted into the African-American Bosley family, who are, you know, a collection of detective geniuses.
So what does a Bosley do around here?
He connects us with Charlie.
Okay. All right.
Good morning, angels.
Good morning, Charlie.
I think Bernie just brings a freshness and an appreciation for the craft, you know what I mean? And he reminds you why you got involved in this game in the first place.
While shooting the film, Bernie tapped into the improvisational skills he had honed over the years.
You all fine, but you're crazy.
There was a scene where, in the beginning of the Townsend Agency, where
Charlie says, I hope the girls haven't been too tough.
Yeah, and he goes, hell, I'd date fat woman. And then he added, you know,
a couple takes later.
Midgets.
Midgets too.
Man, you ain't never heard no Black Irish. Who you think invented the Mac Rib, Lucky Charms, Shamrock Shake?
Bernie has this thing, if you say, we might say this, but he says, throw it at me, that's fine, I can hit it. Whatever it is, I'll hit it, don't worry, I'll hit it. And you know, you're always sure to know that he will absolutely hit it. But the thing is that he throws stuff at us that just goes, like, hits us. You know, we're like, you know, we have to just go, did he just say that?
I got sand in my butt, I can't hardly walk.
Even in the midst of his busy Hollywood career, Bernie stayed true to himself. From the beginning, his heart and soul have remained in the city of his childhood.
Chicago is my life. Chicago's my friend. It's my base. Every time I get a hiatus or a break, I run home. I love the style. I love the people. I don't have any celebrity friends. I don't have any friends who talk business. We signify and then drink beer, smoke cigar, play golf, and we talk about everything but this. And I love it.
Family and friends are here. It's kind of hard to leave people you love and care about. So we're here.
1, 2, 3, kick it!
During his 20-year journey to overnight success, Bernie Mac has gone from a skinny kid telling jokes on the streets of Chicago to a TV and movie superstar. And through it all, he proved there wasn't anything he couldn't do, as long as he remembered the lessons his grandmother taught him as a boy.
It's fleeting out here. It's mercurial. You could be happening and then another second you're not happening and then another second you're happening again. So you have to have a strong sense of yourself and know who you are. And I think Bernie absolutely has that.
He just wants to make everybody feel a little bit better about being alive for those moments that you spend with them.
He's kind, loving, gentle. They don't see all that. They think he's hard from the way he talks, how loud he is, but he's really a kind soul.
My family is my life. My friends, they're my life. My daughter, my home. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be here. See, America, y'all thought I was all wrong and everything. Y'all...
I'm sorry, too.
Sorry? What did you do?
You don't know?
Put the camera on. Put the camera on. Come here! Come here!